The Ancients World. Chapter 421, The Cathedral for Players. We stand in front of the massive structure, and it's a beautifully designed building. It's something straight out of the Victorian era on Earth. It stands tall into the sky and has several floors, almost an amount that shouldn't be possible with a design such as this. This place is different. Jasmine uses the best description she has. The Ancients World, or Gaia, hasn't experienced something like this. A style of building in a manner that player cathedrals are built. Since the player cathedrals were made by the system, it's based on buildings from our world. A very long time ago, this was known as Victorian-era building. She hardly recognizes my words, and she lowers her head to look at the massive doors. They're open, and we can see players and NPCs alike. NPCs and players have become friends. The ones before all this are here helping each other. Players give their friends all the help they can give them. It's nice to see the resentment for players slowly disappearing. Well, I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be. She is nervous, and rightfully so. Jasmine slowly walks towards the massive opening into the cathedral, and I follow right behind her. I don't know how long this will take for Jasmine to do, but she knows that we can take as much time as she needs, but not as much as she wants. There is a difference, and taking too much time on one thing when it can be done sooner is a burden on a lot of people. My eyes look towards the many glowing gates that have NPCs going into, and a large platform in the back of the main hall where they're transporting back. Some look like they've seen hell, and others have a victorious smile on their faces as they open their player interfaces for the first time. Jasmine has a challenge ahead of her, but she can do it. She doesn't waste any time and heads straight for a gate that will lead her to her trial. She stops in front of it to wait for me. As I stand next to her, there is a magical energy that comes from the gate. I know instinctively that I'm not allowed inside. Just pray that whatever I'm about to face doesn't scare me into a vegetative state. She shouldn't make jokes like that. I look at her, and I see that it's not actually a joke. She's being serious, and that does worry me. She steps forward and places her hand through the gate, and looks back at me as she holds it there. It's a weird jelly that feels warm. She takes another step, and she passes through the gate. It closes off behind her. I make my way over to one of the pews and take a seat. My eyes are locked on the platform, and I know that she's likely facing her past as a slave in these trials. It's the only way for her to become a player. To overcome and let go of the past, something that Sally did, and something that Jasmine has yet to do. I wish you were here right now, Sarah. You'd know how to help. He would know how to help. He always knows. I'm worried about my little brother and how he'll handle telling Mom and Dad what he knows. I handled it like shit, and Mom and Dad won't be different than me. This seat taken. A male voice comes from my left, and I see a man and woman. I wave in emotion saying it's open, and they take a seat. I can tell you're waiting for an NPC. Genius this one. He looks at the girl he's with, and they share a happy look. They're definitely in a relationship. We're waiting for our NPC friend too. We've been traveling with her for a while, but she's struggled since she was an ex-slave. Small world for women here. It's sad that so many have been exploited and used in a way like that. I let out a long sigh and finally decide to talk. I might as well entertain a conversation for the time being. My friend has gone through the same thing as yours. All I can do is be here for when she fails, 'cause she will. But I'll build her back up and get her to keep trying. 'Cause we're not leaving here until she's a player. Jasmine will resent me for how hard I'll push her, but she needs it. I know these walls, I know this stench, this fucking hellhole, the city of James, and the source of all my pain and misery since I could remember. Being a slave is a fate worse than death, and loving after it is nothing but a bane. Being treated as a taboo to society and an outcast for things out of my control. My hand is resting on the handle of my blade. The door up ahead leads to the chambers that fill my nightmares and the last stop for many women that were in the same situation as me. Jasmine, my little pig, where are you? My body becomes rigid, and my breathing becomes labored. Come service your masters. I don't know what comes over me next, but all I can do is scream and unleash all my attacks. The halls, the doors, the rooms, everything is destroyed as I lay waste to everything in sight, and my bloodlust and fear mix into a chaotic emotion that I don't know what to call. I'm not your little pig anymore. I'm a free woman, you monsters. I scream at the top of my lungs as I carve through bodies and faces I don't recognize. Maybe I do. I don't know right now. All I see is red, and all I feel is fear and bloodlust. I don't know how much time passes, but it doesn't take long before everything in this mysterious place is destroyed. As I fall on my back, a floating translucent window appears in front of me. This is the screen Hailey would tell me about. Congratulations! You have passed your trials, and you are now a player. To see your information, stats, weapons, gear, friends tab, and everything else. Just think or say system. My mind is in a haze as I read this. All the energy I have mentally is gone. The next thing I know, I'm being transported in bright light, and I see the ceiling of the cathedral. In the next second, Hailey is looking at me from above, and she has a concerned look. Did you do it? Are you a player? I give a single nod, and she beams a smile down at me, picking me up in her arms. I read the messages I've just received from Hailey, and Jasmine has become a player. Wow, she did it way faster than I thought she would. That's amazing. It's a truly impressive feat that should be celebrated. Hailey is informing me that she and Jasmine will meet up in the capital of the Kingdom of Avalon. The city of Avalon. I'm jealous that she gets to be there before I do, which means she gets to start on her tier-up quests before I can. Talk about a bummer. I am happy for her, though. She's done a lot to earn this. I'll also say it's great to have messaging back between players and have our friends lists restored. It makes things so much more convenient. Chapter 422, Last Morning in the Elven Kingdom. Time has really flown by, and I'm so glad that we can finally leave this place. The airship should be here within the hour, and we'll be heading for the Kingdom of Avalon. The player kingdom and everything that I could hope for in a place as my next stop in this new life. My tier-up quests are in Avalon, and Hailey will get hers done before I get mine. She's already there and having a blast with Jasmine, and I'm super jealous that they can be there, and I have to stay here. But at the same time, it's a good thing that I'm here since Mom and Dad need this time. They've been searching for us for a very long time. I'm looking forward to the trip with you. Sally takes me out of my thoughts, and I try to clear my head. I'm hoping for some fun alone time with her in private quarters, and I'm not going to come out of our room until we're actually at Avalon. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, but not for the same reasons you are. She catches the hidden meaning behind my words and has to look away just a bit before coming back. We're alone right now, but not in the same way. As much as I'd like to do that sort of stuff right now, there isn't a really good time. Mom and Dad are waiting downstairs along with Marcus, and they're just waiting on us now. It's too bad we don't have enough time to do anything. Sally responds in a confident manner, and I find her sexier for it. I love that confident Sally. It's the best version of her. Sally has been enjoying the new advantages of being a player, and I've taught her everything she needs to know and more about what she is now. From what I know, she's one of the first NPCs to become a player. She got to skip the whole trial thing, and that's something Jasmine had to do. Jasmine handled it spectacularly, in my opinion. Facing a hard and tragic past like that isn't easy, and it's different for everyone. Sally got over hers by taking revenge on the people who've wronged her, and I changed everything about my life with a wish. Don't tempt me, I might ignore all of them down there and take you back to the sheets, the only difference being you'll be naked this time around. Her grin has a red tint with her cheeks. She moves closer to me and wraps an arm around my shoulder, and stands on her tippy toes. She leans her head closer to my ear. I'm not going to stop that from happening. I'll never reject you, Sarah. That's the last straw with me, and I pick her up in my arms. She lets out a joy-filled squeal and hugs me as I carry her. Sarah and Sally should have been up by now, and I can't help wondering where they're at. It's not like Sarah to be late for anything. They have time before the airship arrives, but I still want to talk to him. I turn to head for the door leading to the hallway that will take me to them, but a hand on my shoulder stops me. I turn and see Christian. He gives a half smile and pulls me closer. He only gives me that type of face when we're going to talk about something I'm not going to like. How about we leave Sarah and Sally alone, sweetie? They probably want alone time at first. My own denial tries to refuse the process of his words, but it doesn't stop it for long. The inferring that Sarah and Sally are being intimate, that isn't what I want to think about in the slightest. But I try to find any and every excuse I can for why Sarah wouldn't do that with Sally, but I can't bring myself to do it. Sally is a good girl, and someone Sarah holds dearly. It's natural that they would be doing something like that. Even though I hate that my oldest son is now doing those things, it's also a good sign. It shows responsibility and a conscious choice. He's not your little baby boy anymore. They're doing adult things together, and us getting in the way does no good for anyone. I don't hate it when Christian is right, but I hate that he's right about this. Sarah is a man now, and he'll do things that a man wants to do with a woman. Sally is a fine choice and someone that Sarah has chosen. Yeah, you're right. Why do you have to be right? He pulls me in closer and into a hug. He runs his fingers through my hair in an attempt to calm me. I'm not that bad right now, but the reality is setting in. Sarah does those things with Sally. Soon, Marcus will start wanting to do that with girls. In a few years, but that will fly by in no time. And when that happens, I'll lose my youngest child, and it'll be just Christian and me. I'm glad that you see that now. Think about something else, like what Avalon will look like. I appreciate his attempts to distract me, but they do no good. The capital city Avalon is more spectacular than anything I've ever seen in my entire life. It has a steampunk design, and it's not just the capital that looks this way. It's said that a lot of places look like this here in the Kingdom of Avalon. Wow, every time I look up, it's hard to look away. We've been here a little over an hour, and we've just been exploring. There is so much to do and so little time to do it before Sarah and everyone else gets here. The first thing we need to do is get my tier-up quests done. I have 2 of them, and I want them finished by the time everyone gets here. Jasmine nods her head along as I talk, and I doubt she's actually listening to me. Tearing up is something I have to do alone. Jasmine and Sally will both have to tier up here in Avalon, meaning Jasmine will handle the one she has here too. You know that you have a tier-up quest here too, right? She looks at me confused and tries to figure out what I mean. All players have to come to Avalon to reach tier 2. Including NPCs made players. Realization sets in, and she lets out a groan. Jasmine has already been through a lot getting to this point, and now she has to face another big challenge on her own. This sucks. Can we please take a break? We just got here, and I'm so sick of grinding for this new player lifestyle. I want a break. She sounds like an overly stressed teenager, which she shouldn't be. But who am I to judge? I used to act like that. Her quest will be located in a different place than mine, and that means we have to split up. Remember, use your map to find the marker of where you need to go for your quests. It should show you where to go to tier up. I'm heading off to do mine, and you better do the same. She slumps forward and looks totally defeated. Chapter 423, Meeting Old Faces Again. Helda has set up a temporary airship port for the royal airship that's coming. We're waiting at the port, and I can see it approaching off in the distance. I heard that King Jackson and other leaders are on board the airship. They're here to speak and create relations with the Elven Kingdom. Sally knows more information about who is on that airship than I did. She spent some time talking with Helda and saying goodbyes for now. If that's true, I want everyone to refer to me as Slayer Zirn unless we're in a private situation. I don't want my real name to be known to the public. Sally easily agrees, but Mom and Dad don't think that's a good enough reason. I can tell by the looks on their faces. I step away from the viewing ledge and make my way towards them. So we can talk quietly. Look, there are important people that know me as Slayer Zirn, and I want to keep it that way. I want to keep the real me hidden. Dad takes a second to give it some thought, and I don't really know what there is to think about. I'm asking them not to call me by my real name for now. That shouldn't be too hard for them to do, and the fact they're giving me a hard time on this is frustrating. Okay, if that's what you need, I'll agree to call you Slayer Zirn. But I can't speak for your mother. She loves your name too much to call you something else. My eyes shift to Mom, and there is a defiant look in her eyes. She's going to make this hard on me. They're not going to like what I'm about to say even more. I'll also need you both to treat me as a friend. Not a son. Everyone believes I'm the birth son of a woman named Amelia Zirn, and my father is Archangel Michael. Stick to the story, or else you'll complicate a lot of things for me. Mom looks about to explode, and she takes a deep breath to lay into me. Before she can, Sally steps into the conversation and grabs everyone's attention. Are you seriously going to be this difficult about a couple of simple things that your child needs? No wonder Hailey has such a hard time with you guys. I'm surprised Sarah even gives you the time of day anymore. All of us are flabbergasted. Mom doesn't know what to say, and Dad looks at me for answers. Sally has never done something like this before, and this is the first time I'm seeing this. She's gained a lot of confidence, but I didn't think she'd stand up to my parents on my behalf. I would have done it, but I think it's working better since she did it. You're right, Sally. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'll do what you need of me too, even though I hate it. I'm further impressed as my mom actually cooperates. Mom looks hurt from everything that's just happened, but that's to be expected. So who is Amelia Zirn? I figured this was coming too. Mom has a jealous streak. At least that's what Dad has told me. She knows that I don't think Amelia is my real mother, but that doesn't stop her from feeling like she's been replaced. Any mom would, I think. I fold my arms and look down at her, and I can see her shrink into herself. Realizing how stupid her question even was. She takes a step back and goes back to Dad. Thanks for helping with them. They can be so difficult and inflexible. I make sure they both hear me as I say that, and they both roll their eyes at me and go back to looking at the approaching airship. Sally wraps her arm around my side and takes a look at the massive royal airship that's coming towards us. I'm so glad that we're getting out of this place. I've had enough Elven Kingdom to last a lifetime. She takes the words right out of my mouth. I have no intention of coming back to this place. I wish Helda the best of luck in her player trials and rebuilding the Elven Kingdom. Our time here and with her is up. Sally leans her head on my shoulder and lets out a deep sigh. Do you know what Avalon looks like? I don't. It didn't exist in my old life, which is a consequence of my actions. I'm looking forward to seeing it someplace new. There is something that we'll need to talk about on the airship, and it won't be something she likes. The airship stops moving, and we're parked against an unloading dock made from different parts of magical contraptions. It's obvious how hastily this was all put together. My eyes scan the crowds forming, and I see a familiar face. 2 of them, to be exact. Well, it looks like Slayer Zirn and Sally are here, and they're with new friends. The other 2 with them look to be around their age. Slayer Zirn was a part of the rebellion here and is largely responsible for the bright future of the Elven people. Sally is a figure of popularity spreading across all of Gaia, given her relationship with Slayer Zirn. They look like they've been busy. Tessa doesn't know how accurate that statement is. Slayer Zirn and Sally have changed the lives of millions. The loading ramp connects, and nobles, rulers, merchants, and everyone in between are getting off to see the capital city Grecia for the very first time. Looks like we're not the only ones that have noticed Slayer Zirn. Tessa has picked up on something I've overlooked, and I see what she sees. Everyone is waiting for an opportunity to speak with Slayer Zirn. He's a very calm, tolerant, and patient man. But this might actually get on his nerves more than anything I've seen so far. Tessa and I make our way off and towards Slayer's Earn as well, forcing our way past others. Walking up to him and disregarding everyone that doesn't know how to approach him. It's been a long time since I've seen you, Slayer's Earn. I hold out my hand for a handshake. He takes it and gives a brief handshake, and that's more than good enough for me. But he decides to speak. Yeah, it has, Jackson. I see the feather I gave your wife has had effects. I didn't intend for that to happen. If it's caused you pain or trouble, I'm sorry. Never in my life have I expected that the literal grandson of the Almighty Father apologize for something he shouldn't. While it was a trouble, it's benefited my people and Tessa far more than any problems it's caused. There is no need to apologize. While the hair color changing was a shock, the abilities I gained are something that I didn't know my people needed. Tessa speaks up before me, and I don't mind. She knows how to talk to Slayer's Earn. He's not so formal when it comes to royalty. Mainly because there is no king or queen that can compete with his importance. I'd like to stay and catch up. But Sally and my friends here are heading to Avalon. There are things we must do there. But once I'm finished there, I'll be stopping by to visit Mom again. For some reason, that causes the woman that's with the man behind them to flinch slightly. But I nod my head and lower it slightly. Chapter 424, The Royal Airship Ride. The Royal Airship is empty since everyone that was on it has made it to its destination. Leaving my family and myself the whole ship to us. Dozens of staff are waiting up ahead as we make our way towards the viewing deck, and many become flustered and worried about how they look at the sight of me. The captain comes out of one of the doors and stands next to the door leading into the viewing deck. We make it to the door, and the captain holds out his hand and lowers his head. I'm Captain James Flintlock, and it's an honor to have you on my vessel, Slayer's Earn. Everyone around us takes this opportunity to do the same thing Captain Flintlock is doing. My thoughts regarding people and their treatment of me is a touchy subject. I don't like being bowed to, and I don't like being treated like royalty. I can wipe my own ass, thank you very much. Thanks for the warm welcome, Captain Flintlock. I won't ask for much, just the amenities that anyone else would get on an airship. That should be simple enough. Given this is a royal airship, it might have things run a little differently. Of course, Slayer's Earn. We'll have your rooms ready within the hour. Until then, please enjoy the viewing deck and anything from our menu. He raises his head and gives a single nod. Everyone takes off in different directions to do any tasks that need to be taken care of. Mom and Dad are the first to enter the massive room known as the viewing deck. The royal airship is already moving, and the room has tables, games to pass the time, and huge windows on each wall to see the views from any angle you want. Do you get treated like that everywhere you go? Dad doesn't know how much I actually hate it. Sally and Mom are off and are already looking out of one of the windows at the views as we move across the sky. There are times that I appear in public. Don't go thinking I like getting treated like this. It takes up a lot of time and is inconvenient. Since my identity as Slayer's Earn is known, many seek to speak or gain healing from me. He raises his eyebrow in a questioning way. Sally and everyone else know about my healing powers once my divine title is activated. Mom and Dad don't know how that works, though. When I activate my divine title, I gain several healing skills. The best ones you can ever have. I've spent lots of time healing the sick and injured in some places. He smiles and wraps an arm around my shoulder as we look towards Sally and Mom. He takes a breath, and we watch Marcus run past us and join the other two. You've accomplished a lot since the last time I saw you, son. You make me proud to be your father, and I'm glad that everything has been going well since we came to this world. I wouldn't use those exact words, but they're close enough. We're all together again. Aside from Hailey and Jasmine, who are already at Avalon and enjoying everything the capital city Avalon has to offer. Just so you know, you need to have the same talk with Hailey. She could really use you or Mom saying you're proud of her. She's had a rough time. There is no denying that I played a role in her suffering, but that's from sharing what I know with her. I didn't seek to harm her. I gave her what she wanted and told her the truth. Something I don't think Mom and Dad will ever hear or be ready for. Dad takes on a slightly sad expression. I screwed up with Hailey, so did your mom. If it weren't for you, Hailey wouldn't still be in our lives. Thanks for that. I'm not the hero of that story. Hailey is the one that decided to change. All I told her was I'd hate to have the new rich life without her, and she'd be stuck with the same life she has now. That's all I really said to her. Anything she's done after that was her own doing. You don't need to thank me. You should tell Hailey how proud you are of her. She needs to hear something like that. I've told her that. It's different when a parent tells you they're proud of you. It means more, cause it means you've met their expectations or even passed them. I'll be sure to do that. She's more than earned it after everything she's accomplished. I can't help wondering how Emerald is doing. Hailey's legacy beast got so big, she has to keep it in her inventory now. It's a little awkward standing next to Violet like this, and it's because I don't really know how to talk to her yet. I'm sorry that your first impression of me was bad. She nearly startles me with the sudden start to a conversation. She continues to look out the window, and I see a resemblance between her and Hailey. They both have the same cheeks and nose. Hailey would talk about her mom sometimes. How overly emotional and controlling she could be. Seeing it firsthand wasn't the best thing. I wouldn't know the first thing about raising kids, Mrs. Adamo. I can't judge you too harshly for the way you do things. She cringes slightly, cause I've judged her for the things she's done and the things I've seen her do. She closes her eyes and turns her head to me, and slowly opens them. Yeah, that's a part of me that I'm trying to fix, the controlling, demanding, and overbearing mother. It's obvious what you're talking about. It's good that I don't have to explain it, and it's even better that she can recognize the problem. But as I said, I can't judge her harshly. I don't know how to raise kids, and I don't know what it's like to have a mother. So I can't say if what she's doing is truly wrong. Hailey is my only daughter, and I've done so many things wrong by her. I don't blame her if she doesn't even consider me her mother anymore. Hailey wouldn't go that far. I don't think she would, anyway. Besides, it's not like Hailey is here now. That means there aren't any problems to solve at the moment. I'm really glad that Sarah has found someone he loves. It's hard to think of him as his own man these days. Mind telling me more about yourself? More about your life? She knows about my hard life as a slave growing up, but she doesn't judge me for it. Just like how Sarah doesn't judge me for it. I don't really like to talk about my life, but if you really want to hear about it, I need to warn you, it's dark, and you'll never be able to unknow it. Some pretty terrible things have happened to me. She looks up at me, and I can see her nod her head, and I can tell she genuinely wants to know. I'm not really sure where to start, but before I can, someone bumps into my leg. I look down and see Marcus. He's on his butt, and he quickly stands up. Sorry, didn't mean to run into you. What are you guys talking about? That's the end of the conversation. Talking about my past isn't something to do around a little kid. Chapter 425, The Royal Airship Ride 2. We're all sitting at a dining table and eating several different foods. It's pretty crazy that we get an entire royal airship all to ourselves. Several waiters and waitresses are serving us, and food is being prepared at the highest quality they can make it. You seem to be enjoying the food, Sally. Sarah points out my current behavior. My cheeks are full of food, and I have several more plates finished than everyone else. It's been a long time since I've had a good meal, and I'm not going to hold back. Yeah, it's been weeks since we got to sit down and eat quality food. All we've been eating is dried meat and rations. I take a moment between bites to talk, and Sarah can only smile. Everyone else is eating fast like me, but I have a bit of recklessness with my method at the moment. Sarah is eating food the same way his dad is, and Violet is the one eating with the most controlled behavior out of all of us. Marcus is trying to keep up with his dad, but there is no way that's going to happen. I'm going through food faster than anyone else. The waiters and waitresses keep coming and going, taking empty plates from the table and bringing back full ones. This type of service is a new thing for me, and it's all thanks to Sarah. Him being who he is, making things a higher level of care and quality. And I'll admit, I'm feeling a little spoiled thanks to him, but I think it's okay. I've never felt spoiled before. From the looks on his parents' faces, they're thinking the same thing I am. This is something we didn't get to do with all that money you got us back on Earth. So I'm going to enjoy it for as long as I can. Christian takes a moment from scarfing down food, and I'm curious. Sarah has talked about his home world, Earth, before. The times he has talked, I learned a lot about him and his family. For example, they were poor at one point, and before all the players got stuck here, they came into a lot of money thanks to an item that Sarah found in this world. Given that I'm a player now and I can do everything they can, it's becoming easier to see things from their perspective. Sarah remains quiet in all the talking, and I can see him with a solemn look on his face. He's probably missed times like these with his family. I know I'd have liked some semblance of this. Kman, Slayer's Earn. Turn that look into one that isn't so hollow looking. It makes me sad. Violet does a good job calling him by the name this world knows him as. Sarah raises his head and looks at his mom. She is waiting for a response, but he never gives one. He just goes back to eating his food. She looks hurt by that, and I give Sarah a kick under the table, but I end up hurting myself due to how tough he is. I curl slightly, and he gives me a look of amusement. Slayer's Earn, don't ignore her like that. I'm fast to call out his actions. Violet and Christian look at me funny as if they're a little stumped at me demanding this from Sarah. I'm not ignoring her, Sally. There isn't anything to talk about, so I'm not going to bother speaking. Small talk isn't what I do. Talk about a stubborn person. Violet can't help but give a little giggle, and I let out a chuckle too. Only Sarah would have logic like that. We all finish eating our food, and we're good and full, and all the waiters and waitresses leave. We're alone in the viewing deck and at the dining table now. How long do you think the trip to Avalon will take? Marcus asks a question that most of us know the answer to already. It's going to take about 2 days, and that's if we don't run into any problems. Airship pirates do exist, and they have become more active in recent times thanks to all the players using airships to travel instead of teleportation gates. It should only be a couple of days, and I hear Avalon is entirely made up of players. We might even run into kids your age. Violet is quick to answer Marcus, and he doesn't seem too excited. I'm not going to bother asking him why. Kids have the weirdest reasons for not liking something or not wanting to do something. Why do you always treat me like I'm still a toddler on his way home from school? I'm old enough to ask if he wants to do something or not. That came out of nowhere, and Sarah lets out a restrained laugh. It's hard for me to hold back my laughter at that amount of sassiness coming out of an 11-year-old. In my opinion, he's right. He's not a little kid anymore, and he should be considered for things he wants to do or doesn't want to do. Most kids his age don't want to play with other kids his age that he doesn't know. I was the same way. I preferred to be alone. Mom is quick to turn her body, and she lets out a long sigh. I'm sorry, Marcus. You're right. You should have a decision on some of the things that involve you. I'm not going to force you to make friends or play with kids you don't know. You're to hold for that now. But please, be respectful when talking to us about these things. He nods his head, and that ends that conversation. I'll be the first to admit Mom has changed. And while it isn't a great deal, it's definitely progress in the right direction. What's the first thing we're doing when we reach Avalon anyway? Sally asks a question that's been on my mind. I've been organizing the things that need to be done, and the first is meeting back up with Hailey and Jasmine. After that, I'll have to take on any tier-up quests I have in Avalon. I know I have one, but there could be a second one right after it. Blue Chaos never specified these things in his forum posts. Before I can give Sally an answer, another important worldwide announcement starts, and it's about an important feature that the game lost when we all came here. Worldwide announcement: the auction house feature is being readied for players across Gaia. You'll now be able to auction anything off from your inventory to the auction house from wherever you are. However, to receive payment for any sold items, you must head to a local branch of the auction house. Have a nice day, players. We all silently listen as the message replays to make sure all players hear the information clearly. What's the auction house? Sally wouldn't know what the auction house is since it disappeared before I met her, and I never talked about it. It's a pretty important feature for the player economy. Without it, we wouldn't be able to trade, and now that feature has been restored. She looks to me for answers, and I lean back in my chair. It's a way for players to trade anything to one another for a specific price. It's how I got all that money for my family on Earth. I sold a guild token for UWDs. You'll have access to it as well since you're a player now. She looks very interested in what I just described, and we all open our player interfaces to check it out. Chapter 426, The Royal Airship Ride 3. Sally and I are alone and away from everyone else in our room. She's using the massive bath to take a hot soak and get clean. Given that she's a player now, she can put her armor and weapons in her inventory, and they'll automatically clean. The water is perfect. I'd wish you'd come and join me. I hear her voice from the bathroom, and I'm tempted. There are things that I need to talk to her about, and now that we're alone, there is no better chance. My clothes are off and in my inventory as I walk into the bathroom, and she smiles at the sight of me. I do the same, except she has bubbles covering all her special places. Wow, I don't get to see it often enough. Her eyes are in the obvious place. The bathtub is large and can easily fit both of us, and that's something I haven't had since our time in Zenith. I remember that day. We had fun in the bathroom. There is something I need to talk to you about, something very important. She hears my serious tone and straightens slightly as I make my way into the bathtub and across from her. She plays with my feet using hers, and the magical water and bubbles instantly relax me, cleaning my dirty body at the same time. You make it sound like it's bad news. It is, depending on how you look at it. I'll have to do my tier-up quest alone, which means she won't be able to come with me or help me on it. I don't know where I'll be sent or taken to when I start it. There will be a period of time when we're apart, and that's what I need to talk to her about. I have 3 different tier-up quests that I need to complete. Meaning we're going to be apart for a long time. Sally, when I start doing my tier-up quests, I have to do them alone, meaning we're going to be apart for a long time. I don't know how long specifically. It all depends on how long I take to complete the tier-up quests and where they are or where they take me. Given my divine classes, what is, I can be sure as shit they'll be challenging. She doesn't like the sound of that and has an uncomfortable look. Okay, how long will we be apart from each other? She's getting sadder by the second. While she's gained confidence and can take care of herself, it seems she doesn't want to be that far from me. I don't know, Sally, and you'll have your own tier-up quests to do in Avalon once we get there. It could be days, weeks, months, I don't know. She closes her eyes and takes a steady and calming breath. Thinking about everything I just said. She slowly opens her eyes, and I see strength, independence, and confidence. Alright, if that's what's supposed to happen, I'm not going to fight it or be upset by it. It's not like it'll be a permanent change. My heart skips. It's fucking hot seeing Sally like this. A confident and powerful woman. One that isn't clingy to me anymore. Since the first day that I met her, Sally has grown so much, and I'm more than lucky to have her. There is something that I want to talk about too. She catches me a little off guard as she talks. While we're apart, I'm going to look for my father alone. I want to find him. I can understand that, and Sally is more than powerful enough to handle anyone. There are vile men out there that will see her beauty and try something with her, and now she can kill them all without blinking. It makes me know that I don't have to worry about her safety. Remember, Sally, even when we're apart, we can message each other through the system. She smiles and nods her head. She moves across the tub and sits next to me. She leans her head on my shoulder, and her chest is halfway out of the water. I don't have to worry about you not wanting me anymore after we're apart, right? There is a weakness in her voice as she says that, and this is a different type of vulnerability. One that only happens when a girl is afraid of losing the man they love. I lift my arm out of the water and wrap her into a sideways hug, and kiss the side of her head. The system lets you see if your partner cheats on you. You know that, right? She raises her head and looks at me, confused. I open my player interface and show her. It shows that we're lovers and that neither of us has cheated. It's impossible to fool this thing. She stares at it with a smile. She swings both arms around me and lays multiple kisses on my lips, and straddles me. This is the best feature ever. I know that some would consider it controlling, but it's a feature of the system. Sally can see what I'm up to, and I can see what she's up to. That puts so much stress to rest. She remains in my arms. This talk went better than I thought it would. Marcus has his own room on the Royal Airship, and that means Christian, and I have a giant luxury room all to ourselves. Can you believe everything that's happened in the last 48 hours? He starts talking as he's putting his gear into his inventory, and I haven't really had time to process everything. It's been pretty crazy, but we did what we set out to do. He plops down into the bed and watches me as my gear disappears into my inventory. He stares at my bare body, and his smile grows. We both look in our early to mid-20s now. I have the body I used to have before I had 3 children. His body is tight and muscular like it was when we were younger. I forgot what this was like. I crawl into bed beside him as I whisper. It's been so long since we had a moment like this. A moment to ourselves. I've given it some thought, and us having another child is possible. Violet, I just want you to know that I was looking forward to it just being us for a change. I was being selfish when I asked for another baby. I didn't consider what Christian wanted. He waits for my response, and I know what I need to say. I'm sorry, Chris, I shouldn't have made it sound like it was hardly a choice. I was selfish and thought you'd want one just as much as me. I realize now that I was wrong. If you want the rest of our lives to be just us, then that's what I want too. He lifts his head and looks at me, wondering if I'm serious. He sees my genuine look and attitude, and his smile grows. It doesn't hurt that he doesn't want another kid. He's right, it's our time, and once Marcus is all on his own, we'll have so much time to ourselves. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, thank God. I didn't know what I'd do if we'd have to raise another one. In an instant, I'm laughing, and Christian is laughing with me. Chapter 427, Haileys Tear-Up Quest. Sarah and everyone else shouldn't be arriving until tomorrow, and I'm going to start my Tear-Up quest. Jasmine is going to do hers while we're here. We can't help each other, meaning we'll be apart for a while. I'm starving, and I know that breakfast here is amazing. She's not wrong. Most of the shops and restaurants are owned by players. Meaning the food from our world is being made here, and that's Jasmine's favorite kind of food. Since she's a player now, she can do everything other players can do. You're paying for it this time, Jasmine. I'm not footing the bill anymore now that you can carry money in your inventory. She rolls her eyes as we make our way downstairs and towards one of the tables. There isn't much to do this morning other than eat, and after we're done with that, I'm going to start my Tear-Up quest. Meaning we'll be splitting up. Since we'll both be doing our Tear-Up quests, everyone else might get here when we're in the middle of doing it. What do we do if that happens? That's something I haven't thought about, but Jasmine has, apparently. We can message each other now using the system, which means we'll always be in contact with each other. If that happens, Sarah will get a hold of us when he can't find where we're at. I heard tearing up takes a while, and it's a difficult process. So don't think it'll be a cakewalk. Everyone on their way here should know that I'm doing my Tear-Up quest. After a minute, someone comes and takes our order, and now we're waiting for our food. Jasmine is being who she's always been, a slightly hyper girl when it comes to food. What do you expect to encounter in your tier-up quest? She asks a good question, and I have no idea. My class is legendary in grade. Battle Mind has been an excellent class for me. Its duelist foundation has led me to learn a great deal about fighting with the blade. Utilizing speed and precision. I can't be competed with when it comes to these. Not even Sarah is fast enough to keep up with me despite how overpowered his class is. I don't know what I'm up against. All I can guess is it won't be an easy quest. I'm betting I'll die a few times before I can complete it. I can't imagine how difficult Sarah's quest is going to be. His class is divine in grade, and while that comes with a lot of power, it comes with a lot of challenges. Something he's already experienced. I don't know what to expect in mine either. Maybe I have to go through a dungeon or fight a boss. That'd be nice if that's all I had to do. Tier-up quests can take a long time and take you to many different places around Gaia. Sarah and myself will probably be sent on long chases after bosses or items in different parts of Gaia. Not together, of course. I'd love something that's simple, but that seems too good to be true. We'll likely have to fight in large battles or undergo long challenges. On the bright side, lots of EXP. We'll be spending some time in Avalon, but Sarah and I are likely to be dragged out of the kingdom from the demands that come of our tier-up quests. I'll be cheering that you get something easy. Mine won't be as hard as your or Sarah's. My class is only legacy in grade. Jasmine will be on her own for a while, but I'm not worried about her anymore. It's weird to think we'll be apart for so long. We've been traveling together for a long time now. Are you excited to be off on your own? I'm not going to lie. I'm excited for you. You get to have your own journey now since I won't be there. She looks away from the direction of the kitchen and to me. She is trying to find the best response she can. Jasmine reminds me a lot of Sally, but Sally doesn't remind me of Jasmine. It's a weird little thing going on there. I think it's something that I need. You've been taking care of me for so long. I need to be on my own and fight for myself. I couldn't have said it better myself. Before we can continue talking, the food comes, and she's no longer interested in talking. She's immediately inhaling the food on her plate, and I'm not so desperate for food at the moment. Taking it slow and enjoying the meal is something that I'd instead do. You might as well go out into the pasture and bite into a cow. The steak she's eating is pretty juicy, and it makes it look like she's biting into a cow. Jasmine ignores me and continues to scarf food down. My thoughts drift to what this entails for me, and that is a long time without anyone I'd call friends or family by me. Most would be sad at the prospect, but I'm glad that I'm getting a break from all this and having a chance to do something on my own. I haven't been able to do this since I first met Jasmine all those months ago. Since I'm the wielder of Battle Mind, there have been times when powerful people have tried to contact me. Having a legacy class grade and higher gives you special treatment. Something I haven't taken time to utilize. I wonder what kind of things I can get if I told people who I am. It would make things easier for my tier-up quest coming up. We've got about a day of travel left, and I've yet to hear anything from Hailey. I open my player interface and send her a message, asking her what she plans to do before we get there, and the message is sent, and all I have to do is wait for a reply now. Sally is still in bed, and I'm looking out the window in our room and seeing the passing landscape. The border wall of the Elven Kingdom was passed a bit ago, meaning we're officially out of the Elven Kingdom, and I'm glad that part of our journey is over. The Kingdom of Avalon is our next stop. I'm expecting some sort of grand arrival ceremony. People know I'm on this royal airship and that I'm on my way to the capital city of Avalon. Sally and I spent some time being physical last night, and it turns out we both really needed a release. That was the best night's sleep I've had since Zenith, and the comfort of the bed helped. We've been sleeping on floors and small beds since we started traveling with Helda. Now that it's done, we can enjoy better things. I know I'm going to. Mom and Dad are in their own room, and Marcus is in his own room. I don't know what the rest of my family did in their alone time. All I know is moments alone, and unheard are rare. Sarah, please come back to bed, we're not needed for anything, Sally calls to me from the bed. I'm tempted to join her, but I'm already wide awake and ready for the day. There isn't much to do on this royal airship, other than luxury treatment and such things. Spending the day with Sally in our own room sounds good to me. All right, we're in no rush. I make my way back to her, and she waits for me with a smile. Chapter 428, The Borders of the Kingdom of Avalon. Sally and I have been in our room all day and enjoying room service. We're supposed to be crossing the border of the Avalon Kingdom soon. Since we're in a royal airship, we'll not be stopped at any point in our trip to the capital city Avalon. I never get tired of this view. Sally walks away from our spot on the couch and towards the window. She's been enjoying the treatment we've received and is taking this downtime in full stride. Yet, I'm a little distracted since Hailey and Jasmine have already started their tier-up quests. They'll still meet us in the Avalon, but it'll be a short visit before they're on their way. When I messaged Mom the news, she was upset but understood. All of us need to do our tier-up quests in Avalon, which means we'll all be splitting up. Even Marcus will have to go out on this own. I know he's ready, but I don't think Mom is. You need to stop thinking about that when we get there. It'll be the last time either of us gets to be together for a while. All we'll have is messaging the system. Sally makes a great point. I stand up from the couch and walk up beside her. We stare out into the vast lands that are under us, and we break through the occasional cloud at the speed we're going. You know that I'll be thinking about you when we're apart, right? She looks up to me as my words reach her. You don't need to worry about losing me. I'm not that kind of guy. It's natural for women to feel insecure. While it's not healthy to feel that way all the time, it comes and goes for all of them. Sally isn't an exception. I know, and you don't have to worry about me, either. I'd never ever do that to you. I care about you and love you too much to even think about something like that. Her voice is soft and confident. And I already knew that about her. Sally isn't the type of girl that would ever do that to me. I'd never cheat on her, and she'd never cheat on me. It's not in our hearts, souls, or minds to do something like that. When do you suppose we'll finally be together after our long time apart? She's been asking me this frequently. I've given the same answer every time. Until we're done catching up on tier-up quests. I wrap my arm around her shoulders, and she leans her head into me. I plant a couple of kisses on the top of her scalp and rest my cheek on her head. You know the answer to that, and it's not changing. It's a sad reality that my tier-up quests will take the longest out of everyone, but that's due to my class. She closes her eyes as the sun lights the sky in an orange glow. It's getting later in the day, and we're getting closer to the Kingdom of Avalon. I can tell because the border walls to its land are up ahead. They're the same size as the Elven kingdoms, but they let people come and go as long as they're players or NPCs with reasons to be there. We pass over the wall, and I see lines of players trying to get in. It's a long wait, apparently. Sally leans forward a little, and she sees what I'm seeing too, and she can't help chuckling. I guess that means we're finally in the Kingdom of Avalon. The capital city Avalon is our final stop. She's smiling as she says this, and I feel like her mood has improved. She's done a great deal of growth in our time together, and I've said this a lot, but I need to emphasize it. She pulls away from me and heads towards the door to the room. My mom and her agreed to spend some time together, and that leaves me alone in this big room. I'd have spent some time with Dad, but he's with Marcus right now, and I'll not ruin that father-son moment. There are a lot of things on my mind, and most of them have to do with what I'm up against here. The tier-up quests are a mystery to me. Blue Chaos never spoke of them and chose to keep those experiences out of his forum posts. One of the most important things, and you decided to leave it out. Talk about coming back to bite me. I think about Blue Chaos from time to time. He's not alive. He was dusted like everyone else that didn't have an Ancients World character. I've also been looking around the player auction, and there are personalized bounties out from the remains of the world government for any information regarding the leaders of the company who caused all this. I was wondering if you'd be here alone. I turn towards the door and see Dad along with Marcus. I can guess this is an invitation to join them, even though I already said no. Marcus bursts into the room and heads for the window to check out the view that Sally and I have enjoyed. Dad walks up to me and swings his arm around my shoulders, and drags me to the window too. You know, it's been many years since it was just us boys. I wanted to see if we can all spend some time playing our favorite game. That'd be impossible. As fun as childhood frisbee was, that doesn't exist anymore. Not here on Gaia. Listen, Dad. That sounds fun and a good time and all, but we don't have a frisbee, and we certainly don't know how to make one. He only smiles at me as he pulls on out of his inventory. I don't really know what to say. Where the hell did he ever get one? He hands it to Marcus, and we leave the room. There is a massive activity center in the Royal Airship, and that's where we're heading. When your mom, Marcus, and I were at a coast, there were players selling frisbees for the beach. I took the chance to buy one, and I've been hanging on to it ever since. Wow, they went to the coast of this continent. That's a place I've only seen in pictures. The hot water soaks into my body, and magical water takes away any stress, helping any parts of my body that are aching and swelling. My eyes slowly open, and I see Violet on the opposite end, gently looking towards me. We never got to talk about the life that you had lived long before you met Sarah. When she puts it like that, she makes me sound old. There are a number of things I can start with, and each of them would warrant a different reaction. But given that I know that my birth father is alive, things have changed for me a bit. I suppose I should start at the times before I was born. Violet makes her way over to me and takes a seat next to me. She's a very beautiful woman, and I can see where Hailey and Sarah get their looks. She has been compassionate towards me, doing her best to be gentle, something Sarah did for me when we first started traveling together. This is who he learned is from. Listen, I'm not going to force you to talk about it, but when you are ready to share with me, I'll be waiting. She wraps her arms around me and hugs me. She's what a mother should be. Chapter 429, Arrival at the capital city Avalon. The soft and silky sheets have been a wonderful experience since our trip to the kingdom of Avalon has started. I find it hard to get out of bed and do what I need to do. Sally is sleeping peacefully next to me, and my eyes are slowly opening for the day. The sun is beaming through the window and lighting the room in bright light, helping me wake up further. Sally disagrees with the bright light and uses a pillow to cover her head. It's much earlier now than it was yesterday when we got up. I'm not going to bother her, and I silently get out of bed and head to the bathroom. I run some warm water in the sink and splash it on my face. Everyone else is probably asleep right now. They wouldn't get up this early without reason to. Dad is probably the only one up this early since he has worked at a factory every day since I was born. But he may have changed a bit and started to sleep in now that he can. It's a nice thing to have a more relaxed life. Suddenly, I hear a ding, and it's in my messages. I open it up and see that I have a message from Hailey. Message from Hailey Adamo. Jasmine and I are waiting at the restaurant closest to the airship port. We've reserved a private room for the whole family. We'll be waiting until you arrive today, and we'll talk about what we're doing. I need advice on my tier-up quest, and since you know what you know, maybe you could help me with it. It's not an easy undertaking. That's great to hear, and I'm betting Jasmine needs help with her tier-up quest too. All I can do is give them advice on anything they're doing. I can't actually help them on the quests. I send her a message back that we should be there around 8:30 a.m. The captain stopped by a disguised family dinner and told us we'd be reaching our destination at 8:30 a.m. sharp. If there is anything that I've actually appreciated from the service on this ship, it's the timetable we've had. Everything has a tight-knit schedule, and we stay on course. It's hard not to like that. Sarah, it's too early, come back to bed and cuddle me. Sally is starting to wake up, and that means I need to make sure she stays awake. It's almost 8 a.m., and I don't want to scramble when it's time to get off. I get out of the bathroom and sit on her side of the bed. I place a hand on her shoulder, and she looks at me. It's time to get up. We'll be arriving at the capital city Avalon in 30 minutes. No more time to sleep. Instant grumpiness spreads across her features, and I can't help laughing a bit. Sally has a hard time getting out of a comfortable bed, and I don't blame her. Silk sheets and softness are hard to escape from. I don't want to get up, though. It's been so long since I've had a bed this comfortable, plus, that means we're getting closer to the time where we'll be apart. I should have known. She wants as much time with me as she can get. I'm in the same boat as her. I want some more time with her, and that's not a bad thing. Come in, we can take a shower together. I peel the blankets off her, and she's as nude as the day she was born. The same as me right now. I pick her up in my arms, and she wraps her arms around my head. Enjoying the princess carry that I'm giving her. It's kinda ironic since she's a princess. She's handled the news that she's the first in line for the Elven throne pretty well. She hasn't talked about it often, but she's not bothered by it. It's probably because she never intends to be queen of the Elven people. I've heard through player messages that Hilda has been crowned queen of the Elven kingdom. She's earned that position with everything she's doing to help rebuild and make her kingdom anew. My thoughts are cut short as we enter the bathroom, and I let Sally stand on her own as I start up the shower. You've got a really cute butt. She takes the opportunity to ogle me and enjoy the view before we're both getting clean for the day. The water is already warming up. I turn around and smile at her, bringing her in closer. You've got a better one. My retort comes out slower and sultrier than I intended, and it comes across very erotically for Sally. She's blushing and wrapping her nude body on mine before we even get in the shower. I'm not complaining, but it's hard to hold back. I take a step in, and Sally remains attached to me, and we're covered in hot water as she lets go. Mind if I take my time cleaning you? She slowly speaks as I feel her hands wrap around my rod, and it grows at her touch. She looks down and smiles at it. This isn't what I intended to happen, but I'm glad that it took this turn. This will be the last time we'll be able to do this for a while. They should be here soon, and Sarah agreed to give me any information he might have about my T.A.W. quest. His knowledge of the future shocked and revealed many things to me. But now I'm seeing the benefit of knowing things other players can't know yet. When are they supposed to get here? Jasmine has been patient so far, and not she's starting to lose it. She's started her T.A.W. quest too, and once we're done with the family, we'll be splitting up until we're done with our quests. Sarah said they'll be here around 8:30 a.m. and should be at the restaurant a little after that. It might be longer since Sarah has to deal with people knowing who he is and coming to greet him. People know Sarah as Slayer Zirn, and he's incredibly famous. It stands to reason that many nobles and royalty will be there to visit him when he gets off the royal airship. It'll be nice to see everyone after being away from them for a few days. It sucks that we all have to part for a while. Jasmine was looking forward to all adventuring together. However, we have priorities, and those come first. I have no doubts in my mind that it'll be quite some time before we're all together after our meeting today. The best part about this situation is we're all on each other's friends lists, and we can see each other on our maps no matter how far away we are. Where do you think Sarah and Sally will have to go for their T.A.W. quests? That's something I don't know. Sarah will have an incredibly difficult T.A.W. quest thanks to his class grade. After he's done with the one here in Avalon, he also has a couple more to do. So I have no idea how long it'll take. I don't know, but it will be hard for him. You can bet on that. She nods her head, and we sit in silence. Some time passes, and there is a knock on the door. I open it and see many familiar faces. Chapter 430, Last Day Together for a While. Mom immediately wraps me into a hug as she enters the room after everyone else, and I can't help hugging her back. Despite our past differences, she's my mom, and I want her in my life. Ah, my baby girl, it sucks that we only have today to be together, less than that, if I'm being honest. Jasmine and I are splitting up after we talk with Sarah. Everyone is going their own direction. Marcus is going off on his own, and Mom and Dad will have to split up to do their tier-up quests. This will be the first time everyone is actually apart from each other. Yet, today is the last time we'll see each other for a while again. At least we can stay connected with the system. She smiles widely as I say that. We turn towards the large table in our private room within the restaurant, and everyone is sitting down and waiting for the two of us to join. Mom makes her way over to Dad, and I take the seat open next to Marcus. Talk about a moment I didn't think we'd ever get to. Sally starts off this final meeting with a sarcastic comment, and it does ease the mood with some smiles. Before we get to talking about my tier-up quest, along with Jasmine's, we all pick up our menus and order some food. Jasmine and I are here because Sarah might have information that could help us in our tier-up quest. It takes around 30 minutes, but all the food arrives, and we all start to dig in and enjoy the food that we used to have on Earth. Food from Earth has become the most popular cuisine around Gaia. The biggest change I've seen is the relationship between players and NPCs. It's improved dramatically. The NPCs and NPCs turned players have learned the truth about us Earthlings. Our story is widely known now, and we're no longer referred to as new people or new person. I'm betting many things have changed drastically from the future that Sarah remembers. Hailey, what are you doing for your tier-up quest? Marcus is one of the first to finish his meal, and he starts off the conversation with an important question. My tier-up quest is complicated, and I'll need to head to a fallen kingdom. One abandoned and dead. Sarah leans back in his chair and raises his eyebrow in anticipation. I'm tasked with heading to the fallen kingdom of Rosalia. I'm to fight and kill a boss in the palace within the capital city Rosalia. Once I'm done with that, I'll have another task before the quest is over, but it hasn't been revealed to me. My eyes are locked on Sarah as I say all this. He closes his eyes, and I can only assume he's trying to recall any information that he might remember about Battleeman's tier-up quest. You'll die a few times fighting the boss. That's a guarantee. I suggest you level up a few more times, so you don't lose the tier-up quest from deleveling from death. That's the first time I've ever heard him say that about me. Sarah wouldn't joke or overplay something like this, and I need to take value in his words. The boss is tricky with its attacks. It has several attack patterns it uses, and it changes between them at the beginning of the fight and midway. Speed alone can't save you. It releases powerful poisons that fill the room, and it has health in the hundreds of millions. Geez, this is tough. I'm doing my best not to seem annoyed, but I hate the fact that I'm going to need to level up a couple more times before I can take the boss on. Any reason why it's such a hard boss? He'd know the story as to why. Sarah knows more about the Ancients' world than anyone else alive today. If this is my quest difficulty, I can't imagine his. He takes a deep breath and folds his arms. Technically, you're going to solo a raid. They're like dungeons on steroids. There is only a handful known and actually completed. You'll have to fight through the entire capital city Rosalia before you can make it to the palace. Wow, that's insane. I've never heard of a raid before. I'll admit, I'm losing confidence in myself after hearing all this. The worst part is you can't have help completing the raid. If you want the item you need for your tier-up quest, you'll need to solo the entire raid. Figures he'd know that I need something from the boss. I can't stop myself from slumping forward and running a hand through my long hair. I feel a smaller hand on my back, and Marcus is rubbing it in support. I smile at him and kiss him on the forehead. My baby brother is trying to cheer me up. What about my quest? Jasmine is the next to speak, and a long sigh comes from Sarah. I'm worried that he might not know anything to help Jasmine in her tier-up quest. Jasmine and I got her class in a dungeon called The Last Wish, and her class is named similarly. I know little of your class, Jasmine, but I do have some helpful information. All I know is you'll want a skill or weapon that causes bleeding damage. The boss you have to fight has a critical weakness to it. At least her boss seems to have something that can be exploited. She's happy that she's got useful information about her tier-up quest, which means we're done here. This was when I planned to leave, but we can stay for a bit longer. I'm in no rush to grind levels. I'm not in the mood. Mom lights up at the sound of that. You want to go and spend some time by ourselves? Mom immediately stands up and waits for me by the door. Mom and Hailey leave the rest of us, and Dad is looking at Marcus and me to see if we'd like to do something similar. You two can go on without me. I'm spending these last few hours with my woman. My arm wraps around Sally, and I bring her close. She has a small blush, and Dad takes Marcus and leaves, leaving only Jasmine, Sally, and myself. Jasmine is a sweet girl, and she proves it time and time again. For instance, she stands up, gives a nod, and leaves to give us privacy. Sue, I'm your woman, hey. You can hear the joy and happiness in her voice, and it's easy to hear a form of adoration in her. Instead of answering, I lean forward, and we lock lips. Slowly moving them in unison, and I poke into her mouth just a bit with the tip of my tongue. She lets out a tiny mew every time I do it. We pull away for some air, and I know my cheeks are as red as hers right now. Maybe we should spend some time to ourselves too. I'm burning for some love from you, she slowly and thickly whispers into my ear. I don't need any more convincing after that. I stand up and pick her up in my arms. She lets out squeal and laughter filled with love and joy. All right, my angel, where are we going for this? I know just what to do, and I plan to spend the last bit of time we have together making a moment to remember.